Where is it at?
I gotta refresh.
That's weird. It doesn't show the chat on mine.
Me neither, but we'll have to figure that out.
All right, no, I found it. Chat,
Yep.
studio chat. All right, bam. Oh, it's just host, producers, and guests. All right, cool. Can we see how many views? Does it show anywhere?
I don't know. So we're live on Facebook right now. I see us live on Facebook.
I just saw it pop up on YouTube.
All right, let's see what we got on
If you're a Christian
X.
listening in, navigating the land of the internet, come along for the ride of the I'm Telling God About This podcast. We are breaking down conversations around the secular world and how it's going to hell. But anyway.
All right, here we go. I'm going to share this on my personal page. Share to my feed. We're
If
just
you're
doing
here,
a little
leave a
housekeeping.
comment. If you're here,
you're
comment
here, if you're
because
in.
we'd love to engage with you. At the last live we did, when we covered Hulk Hogan, we actually had someone, Jay Corona, who works for the WWE, hopping
Does he
in the
really?
comments. Oh yeah, bro. Oh yeah,
Dude.
you missed out, dude. You would have loved that one. It was so much fun.
You know what? Wait, was it last Thursday? I'm trying to remember what was going on.
I don't
last
know.
Thursday.
You were doing something.
All right,
Marriage
here we go.
retreat or something
Share.
or other.
Oh, that's right. I was in the Alps teaching young soldiers about
Sad
the importance
day.
of
You know,
systematic
sad
worldview,
day.
the Alps.
as one does. All right.
That's what
Okay.
it does.
Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. Nope. What are you going to say?
I was gonna say I don't see us on X, but I see us on Facebook.
Wait,
I
well,
see
then
us
we're
on
gonna
YouTube.
wait. Let's wait till
if
we're
you
on
are
X.
if you are on X, comment. Give us a hey, we see you in the chat.
I don't believe you.
Anyway.
All right.
All
Let me
right,
see if it's
whatever.
showing up.
If you guys, I don't see it, but it was supposed
right.
to.
Okay.
whatever.
We'll
We'll just go. We're going.
3, 2,
we'll do it
1.
live.
We'll do it live. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the I'm Telling God About This podcast live. That's right, folks. We're upgrading. We're spending money we're not earning. And we're doing it for you. We're doing it for you. That's right. More intimate, more grounded, more real, more reaching. How many other Christian church slogans can we throw in there? I don't know. Anyway, so what we're talking about today is popular culture stuff. Movies, news, specifically around entertainment media. 3 hot button ones. We'll start off with the first one. K-pop demon hunters.
Is that how you got your? You've been demon hunting? Is that?
Yes. No. This is yeah. I know we've asked for, feedback from the fans and whatnot, then I feel like this is what I get from the comment section sometimes.
That's right.
Not recently.
That's right.
Black
Not
eyes.
recently. No, this is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu injury from a 13-year-old teenager. So it's not near as cool as it sounds.
They make them big these days, man. They make
So
them
pray-
big.
Was he like a good at jujitsu and you were training
Yeah,
with
dude,
a
he's the
13-year-old and
instructor,
he
the
was,
black
like,
belt
show-
instructor's 6 foot tall
Yeah,
13-year-old
yeah,
son with
6 foot,
he's a
100
monster,
cool.
dude.
85-pound
Like-
monster.
I know it might be hard to
13.
tell here in the screen, but I'm 5'7" and I weigh like $150. So like, I have to wrestle. I have to roll with 13-year-olds to not get crushed by the monster soldiers that are here on base. Anyway, K-pop demon hunters, not what the black guy's from. If you have kids, especially if they're in school right now, if you have girls, you've probably heard about this movie. You've either probably told your kids there's absolutely no way you're watching that, or maybe you did let your kids watch it. And that's what we're going to talk about. There seems to be some differing opinions about this movie. And this came
What's
up.
the name of the movie?
K-pop demon hunters.
The movie is titled K-pop Demon Hunters.
So the
That's
premise of
correct.
the story is that you have this K-pop band, or girls group, right? So there's 3 girls that sing.
Girl band.
And their song are able to put up a barrier against the Hung Moon, and it keeps the demons away, and the demons are trying to take over the world, and their song is able to put up a barrier, and they're, once
They
they
can't steal souls.
hit their pinnacle and their climax, they can't steal souls anymore, and they win the day. That's kind of the premise of it. And so the devil essentially attacks the good guys, the girl band, with a boy band of
Yes.
demons, and so
He's been
they essentially are
unsuccessell.
demon hunters.
And this
All right,
is
so we're
like
getting into the premise.
popular right now.
It's been ridiculously successful.
How
It's like
gosh.
broken
go
records
on Spotify
globally.
and look at the most popular bands right now. It's the fake boy band and the fake
Yeah.
girl band from this movie. I have
Interesting.
a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old little girl, and we had one of their little friends stay the night, and she was like, "You guys seen K-pop Demon Hunters?" And my kids were like, "K-pop Demon Hunters?"
Did she
And
say
I
it
was
like that? Like she was like
yeah.
a drug dealer on a corner?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you do K-pop?
Seen K-pop Demon Hunters?
you
my
into
gosh.
K-pop?
She
You want
said
to
this-
party?
I love her to death, but she's also, she's got one of the little Labubu things. Have you seen these? We could
don't
do a
even
whole
get me
thing on
started
that.
on Labubu.
Oh, see, you know
What
about
is that?
Labubu, but
I
you don't
know
know about
about
K-pop
Labubu.
Demon Hunters. Comment down below,
If you know
folks.
about Labubu.
Do you think that's ridiculous? Because I do.
What's Labubu? I'm like totally
You
lost.
You don't know what
Labubu
Labubu is?
glorious
You need to look
I
up
don't know about
Pazuzu.
example of a massive amount
know
of
what
wasted
Pazuzu
money
is.
where you should be using your money to feed starving children and advance the gospel and not buy inanimate dolls.
Agreed.
All right.
So, Labubu, Pazuzu, demons that need to be slain by
What is this
K-pop.
world?
Apparently, some people
Well,
believe
The main character in this movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, is a Nephilim,
she is.
right?
So let
I
me get
mean,
into the details. So this is
Fascinating.
where the thing is. So there's two schools of thought, and here's how I found out about this. So my brother called me. He's like, "Hey man, what do you think about this K-pop Demon Hunters?" Because I just watched this podcast. Shout out to Stories Are Soul Food from Canon. We'll link them down. We'll link this episode down. Actually, we can throw it in the chat here in a second. If you haven't seen that, they're talking about how positive this is, right? And there is some goodness to it, right? Because the whole premise is basically that, the devil in this construct, right, uses shame to control people. So people do bad things, and then shame is what drags them to hell and keeps them there effectively, right? And so from on its face, you would think, oh, hey, fighting shame, accepting that evil is part, that you're a sinful person. We all have sin. We all have things in our life, and not living, shackled by the guilt of that and the shame of that, and moving forward is a generally positive theme. But here's the issue. All of the people who get these marks, so this is how it works, right? Like the demons have these marks on them, and they get them from the shame that they have from from their sin, right? And so we hear about all these different stories from all these other people about how they got theirs. But oh yeah, by the way, spoiler alerts. We're gonna spoil this because I'm gonna tell you.
Oh,
part of
yeah.
it. So if you
Well,
care to
I'm
watch
never
it,
gonna watch it.
I'm gonna
I
spoil
know
this.
like 300
All right?
million people have been watching
I know.
this
If you
and streaming
haven't
this
seen it
worldwide. I
already,
don't think
or
we're
if you're like
spoiling
Nick-
much.
No, it's
And-
fair. But there's gonna be people who are like Pazuzu, Labubu,
Well,
Demon Hunters.
To be
I didn't
fair,
even know this
our
was happening.
audience is mostly men on YouTube.
Correct.
They probably have not seen this unless they have daughters.
Nor do
Just
you
saying.
care.
Like,
So I'm
it's-
just gonna tell you what happens.
We're just
So-
gonna spoil.
So this girl, she's got these marks, right? Like halfway through or like a quarter of the movie through, you're like, oh, she's got the marks. But we never know why she has the marks, right? But here's the thing, she's hiding it. She hasn't told her best friends or anybody else. She's trying to get that golden hamon up so that way she can make the marks go away. That's like her whole story arc, right?
Because if you block it off, then all the marks will go away, and she'll be a regular human. She's running from her supernatural,
Right. And
you know,
so,
background, half-breed.
and this is where it kind of breaks down is the reality is this movie promotes a notion of like the things that you've done wrong or the things about you that some people may call wrong, they're just part of you. They're not anything to be ashamed of. So you should just live with them out in the open and celebrate them. So there is no resolution wherein wrong is wrong and right is right. And this is where the whole narrative of the movie breaks down, because this is kind of the issue. They want to fight evil, but they're not willing to call evil or stake a moral foundation from which to judge evil. Does that, you guys tracking with what I'm getting at? Like if you look at this like in the context of
Yeah.
like American popular society of like woke versus, right wing stuff. It's kind of like woke, the super leftist woke people have no problem making moral judgments of people on the right, but they don't give us a fixed moral reference from which they make those judgments, so they can't be applied to themselves. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah.
They don't adopt or show, they don't pick a thing and say, this is why you're wrong. Like, you hear people say, well, you can't put kids in cages. According to what standard? The law? We don't seem to care about the law when it matters to these things. The Bible?
Right.
Well, you don't seem to care about, when it matters to these things. And that's kind of the issue here, is that like she just accepts, we don't know what her flaw was. We don't know what it was that created the marks on this main character.
The main character, she didn't have anything to do with it per se. It wasn't necessarily her sin that caused that. She was just half demon, half human. Whereas the sympathy comes into play is in the main Saja boy, Grim Reaper demon, whatever, where he did something evil, and she's just like, "Oh, you're misunderstood." To some extent. So there is like a distinction.
Every other person who has the marks, though, that's the point. Every other person who has the marks has a backstory.
Right.
But we don't
and that is
know
that
hers
is kind
because she's not forced to wrestle with it, right?
Well, that's a theme I think that throughout movies that we're seeing, and man, if we want to get deep into like more of a analyzing movies where bad guys are not bad, evil is not evil, right? It is just misunderstood. It is not, you can't call something bad, because you don't know the background. You don't know somebody's story. So why can why should you judge, Yeah.
But when you call a movie,
has this weird.
But when you call a movie K-pop Demon Hunters, that sounds like a moral tale. Like, you have not only identified there are bad guys and good guys, you have said this is a movie about hunting bad things with K-pop, which will allow whatever.
Right.
But
Well, and they so here's the thing, man, with that, it's really ironic that they bring K-pop in and these K-pop stars, and they portray these girls in a way that is completely the opposite of the reality of the dark back behind the scenes of K-pop. These and like they are essentially, they have control over their own schedule, they have control over their own music, they have control over all these things. In the movie, they're just having a good time, and there it is. But in reality, I mean, K-pop, and I mean, listen, we got the problem too in the United States where we elevate, American Idol and The Voice and everything. We elevate these people to become musicians and superstars and everything else. And our music industry is predatory, and there's a lot of bad things that happen. However, never is the individual the product that can be thrown away as seamlessly as a banana peel. Because that's what happens in
industrial.
K-pop. It is consumerism to the extreme. They raise up these kids starting at 13, encourage them to do plastic surgery, to look a certain way, to not eat, and they end up having these mental issues, mental disorders. They don't get paid, and it's all because they are a product. And this is what happens when you remove even the slightest, when you have absolutely no moral foundation for doing something that is consumerism. At least in the United States, we're like, okay, they're kind of people. And even the far left will say, well, Britney deserves rights, even though she's kind of insane. Britney Spears, right? She deserves some sort of rights, and she's her own autonomous person. You'd never hear that in the K-pop country or in Asia or anywhere that this type of stuff is popular. And I think that's the interesting thing, is because that same moral ambiguity is also applied here in this story too.
Yeah, I think, because that's the whole issue right now. It's funny because things are kind of cyclical that way. Like, we're old enough to remember the boy band, girl band craze of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and there was this industrialization of, creating these groups. I mean, there's multiple documentaries about this now. Like, the guy who basically put together Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC, right? And all of that. And that's what's going on. Like, there is a whole documentary on K-pop, by the way, that talks about how this is South Korea's plan is to be the leading exporter of entertainment. And so they have ramped up to an industrial scale the production of these groups, and they'll basically run them until there's something new. And the show kind of captures that, because that's really what is that's kind of like the second act turn of this, is that the devil, he sends a boy band and he's like, hey, we can't compete with them because the people love the music, they want to sing. And so it's like, hey, how about instead of capturing their souls, we capture their hearts? And they send this boy band that basically robs them of their fandom and kind of sets off the insecurity that like leads to the third act,
right, and ultimately landing at, I can also be a demon, half human, and that's cool.
Yeah. This is a movie about Nephilim K-pop singers.
Look,
and
we
we
might
saw
be
how
kind of
that went
digging
down
a little
the
bit
first
deep
time.
but at the same time, that's what I saw. It's like, look, the Nephilim are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, man, the demons. They're trying to get their say. They're trying to get their say in society. One of the interesting things, with this is the way that it's rated, because it's rated as a PG film.
Bro.
And there are certain things in here which would, make you wonder. So if you look at IMDb, in different countries, it's different. Sometimes PG, it's age levels.
Singapore, that's what I'm talking about. Man. Singapore. Holding
Singapore
it down.
Made it PG-13.
That's what I'm talking about. Way to go,
so
Singapore.
There are certain,
those Chinese Christians
scenes where, and we don't have to go through it and play it, but like there's certain scenes where these guys, it's all about this guy's, literally his name is Abs, and it's
play this, because my brother. So this is funny. So I told my brother, and I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Did you even see this? Like, you guys may hear this in the comments. You may not know. You may know. If you're on social media or whatnot, and you see this, like, if you guys probably know that the term corn is analogous for the word it rhymes with, and that is like, a lot of people had no clue that was a thing. And so some people are watching this, and like my brother watched through that whole section, and he was like, dude, I had no idea. He's like, I just thought it was just weird anime stuff. And I'm like, no, dude, like any Gen Z kid watching this would have known exactly what that meant. And it just flew right under the radar. So that, if you're watching this, your parents are like, dude, I had no idea that was there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's so you got a PG rating, but you're doing thinly veiled references to, pornography and,
right.
Teenage or adult lust.
So this is interesting. So it's got a couple of things on here, where it talks about, it says that it doesn't have any sex or nudity. Not true. Technically, if you want to be completely, call us prudes, but there's certain things in there that are just, there. I kind of like, and the thing is with this, I think as long as you have an account with IMDb, you can add stuff. One of the comments, I think that they're talking about, well, here's the spoiler, and Jinu's sacrifice is sad, and this might make younger viewers sad. This last comment here: your idol performance may hypnotize your children and take their souls, like the characters in the movie. I mean,
we want you as a
on the
fan
internet,
of
it
our
must be
channel,
true, right?
Random commenter. Can we poach
I love the internet
fans
so much.
from IMDb? I think I'm on to something here. We need to just start going into IMDb like comment sections and just replying, you seem like our kind of person. Have you considered subscribing to the I'm Telling God About This podcast? Yeah. If you're listening to this and you're the type of person to leave snarky, basically, or heavily biblical comments on, secular websites, you're our type of person. All right, Nick, thoughts
leave
on the
some comments.
veiled...
Let us know what you guys think. I mean, and we posted the link of the podcast to some other takes and everything, and I think that it'd be interesting to see what you guys' take on this is. And also, does it change your view being Gen Z or millennial or older? Does it change your view being a parent or being, not a parent? Like, what is some of the things I think are slaps us in the face as fathers with daughters? It's like, okay, there's certain things that we're protective of, but that might not be like in your face, the first time through. So,
I feel
but
like,
yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what people's thoughts are and comments are on that.
yeah, I mean, from my vantage point, I can't help but tangent us towards the historical aspects of the fall of the Roman Empire and how stories like this give me more reason to lose faith in humanity. But, I was talking to my brother about this the other night. It seems like, yes, we are seeing a rise or a pendulum swing with conservative values, and I'm all here for that whole ride. But that does not negate the 50% of the other half of the United States and the rest of the world, and the slow slide towards debauchery, destruction, and death that we still see happening as a massive culture. And I was thinking about the timing, relevance, and similarities of, like, during the fall of the Roman Empire, there was a uprising of monastic movements and Christian education's higher institutions of education that basically built these bulwarks to essentially keep out the crazy culture and survive the thing that was burning down all around them. And in an interesting sort of way, when I hear stories like this or I'm engaging on culture at this level, it just makes me think, like, we gotta double down into our communities, into our local church bodies, into the places where we are human on human interacting, whether, it's followers of this channel, people that are engaging with this kind of content, your own local small groups and communities, because, man, it's dangerous and dark out there. And I just want to go build a castle on the hill and say, all right, Christians, let's come build, let's compound it up and let's, like, hang out. And I don't know. It's a mess out there.
Build the kingdom.
That clip we watched the other week of this, that corn eyeball, very sensual, soft pornographic thing being showcased to the children. That's a scene from this movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct.
And I would
horrendous.
disagree with the rating on it. It should not be PG because you were talking anywhere.
There's
All the
nothing
ratings
about
are
this
there
that
from,
should be
like,
PG.
all the ratings
This
are wrong
should.
today.
This is a hard 13. Like,
I don't know about a hard 13. I've
A
seen some
hard
pretty
13.
hard. Dude, Top Gun is a hard 13. That was in
no,
the
bro.
80s too.
Top Gun is PG.
Top Gun 1 is a hard 13.
That's what I'm saying.
Top Gun, the newest Top Gun.
If I only have to
PG all
fast
day
forward
long.
through one scene,
I know.
I'm gonna give it to him. No, I agree with you. I agree. Top Gun 1 does have that one scene. We cut that out pretty quick with some creative editing. However, no, you're right. But here's what's frustrating, right? Is that, like, I really enjoyed. So here's what I will say about this, because talking with my brother is an artist and he loved it for this. Is like, it's frustrating because, like, Sony is doing creative things. So I'm all about creative storytelling and creative narratives. Like, I'm all about original content, and this is that. And I think that part of the reason that it's been so popular is that the world is hungry for original content. It's an original style of animation. There was another movie that came out during COVID, something Robots versus the Mitchells or something like that. Strong LGBTQ themes in that. Hilarious movie. Don't show your kids. But that's what's so frustrating. It's like, if you're a full-grown adult and you watch this, you're like, yeah, I'm capable of sifting through this, but
Right.
Still not
it's
worth
clearly
But
aimed
it's-
at influencing children. And that's what, yeah.
It's the same thing we deal with in the world. Like, there are certain things where, I mean, I was going back trying to think I was trying to compare and say, was there anything this in your face of sexually suggestive in PG rated films in the 90s? There was nothing.
No.
I mean, you could say,
Oh,
That's
I
not
will
true.
say,
That's
maybe
not true.
What
That's
do
not
you
true.
have?
What?
That's not
What?
true.
That was rated PG?
Perfect example, Sandlot. We were just in I'm not going to give the details of the example, but there was
Whoa,
someone
you talking
that
about
was saying,
the
"Hey, this
drowning
movie's,
scene?
Hey, this movie's great. You should put it on for your kids." We put it on for our kids all the time. And Brittany, I come home one day and she's got on Sandlot and the boys are watching it. And it's like the scene where they discover a pornographic magazine and girls. And it's like,
In the
you
Yeah.
forget
Totally missed that part.
You forget.
You're right.
Oh, I
You're
thought we were
right.
talking about
These-
like the
It's surprising as an
So,
adult
that-
with a parent as a parent with children now.
Okay.
I go back and I'm like, none of this flies, man.
Dude,
It
no, it's
really
true.
doesn't.
We forget
No, but
so
here's what's
quickly.
funny. It's different though. Here's the thing, right?
Which, to be frank, Ninja Turtles, there's still some solid, Good Hope.
There are good ones. All the Ninja
content
Turtle
stuff
movies
out
still
there.
hang. But even those movies, like here's the difference, right? Yes, where movies, especially in like, I think there was nudity in PG movies. Like I want to say or PG-13.
there was.
No, there was.
Yes,
there
there
was.
was.
13
'Cause,
maybe,
like,
yeah.
13 for sure.
But that's more recently.
There was nudity, but you used to not. You don't think you can have nudity in PG-13 anymore. I think
No.
it has to be R for that, right? So like Logan's Run, classic old one, PG-13, definitely nudity.
Or
in
what
that.
about that one with Tom Hanks, Big?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
dude, that
But
was
here's what I'm getting
predatory,
at.
man. Like, what the heck
Yeah,
was
for
that
sure.
movie about? Was that
But-
PG-13 or was that R? That's
I don't remember.
So many
but you
things.
could look that up. But here's the difference, right? Like, okay, it's one thing to have mature themes. I'm not suggesting that
Sure.
nudity in movies is good at all, right? But like a let's put it this way. A natural, like telling a story, an authentic story. Let me rephrase this. Telling an authentic coming of age story about teenagers has that element in it. Now, how it's handled
No.
can be appropriate or inappropriate.
I completely disagree. It doesn't have to have
Well,
that element.
here's the
in
thing,
it at
you
all.
No, it
we
does.
can't-
What I mean by that is like
Yeah.
at that age, you are figuring out what is going on, like with your body, with human
Right.
relations.
There's certain-
I'm not saying it has to be handled in like I'm not saying that any of that needs to be shown on screen, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
but
not like blatantly.
but nodding to the fact that like
The-
I guess this is what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to say this in a way that's not advocating or saying that this is good.
Don't
but-
avoid
but
reality to
making
tell a
di-
story. Yeah.
Correct, but what I'm saying is like I'm saying that it's not
with
perverse.
that.
In other words, like let me put it this way: take the example you talk about with like some kids finding a dirty magazine. It was portrayed as a shameful thing in the movies. In
Not really.
some, not in all, but yeah, because it's hidden is usually the thing. Like it's up in, it's not something that's
Well,
like out in
chewing
the
some-
open.
Chewing some red man on a roller
Right,
coaster
in a-
was was hilarious.
Right.
And lesson learned. Guess how much red man I chewed? None. And I
Zero,
went
'cause
through
I
the
didn't wanna throw
military. Never
Right.
did any kind of stuff.
But
Or
my point is
whatever it's
this:
called.
that it's portrayed in the context of what was societally acceptable. In some cases, not all, but in a lot of cases, especially some of that stuff is not portrayed as something that is okay or in the open or normal. It was like deviant behavior is generally characterized as deviant historically compared to what we see now, where we have deviant behavior being not just normalized but celebrated.
celebrated. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is different. I'm not disagreeing that it's wrong and that it shouldn't be in the movies,
Right.
Nick. I completely agree with that. I don't think there's any place for it in that context.
Well, I mean, per this line of conversation, even in the older movies, your comment about deviant behavior and how it's portrayed in any form of media, there is a subliminal message, I would say 90% of the time, that is creating or curating a palette, a curiosity, a dangerous level of introductory exposure to something you know nothing about. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't understand how there's anything edifying in that level of storytelling, no matter what is happening.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, I'm not saying that that it's edifying at all. What I was
know
just
you're not
saying is
saying
that
that.
I can
I'm
understand
saying it was
how
just there and it drives me crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think-
I
I think there's a
just
difference,
mean
like what
secular
you're
side.
saying.
Go ahead, Josh.
I think what you're saying, Josh, is there's, if it's directed towards children, that's one thing, right? But being able an adult and being able to sift through certain things, like Josh and I are a fan of horror movies, and we can sift through it to find the value because horror movies do a really good job at identifying actual good and actual evil, right? And that's something that's pretty cool. You get like to see in like 'cause
Well,
no
it's
movies
almost
are
non-existent
doing that.
in-
Right. It
in
doesn't
secular
exist
culture.
in secular culture right now.
It's
Yeah.
novel
So, I mean,
because it still exists in that regard.
I'd say that there's a different conversation, right? If I'm going to the movies with my family and we're going to watch, a particular movie that might be questionable, probably not a good idea, and not something that, if my wife and I are going to a movie, we can
Yeah,
watch
'cause
a
you're
movie and be
adults
able
and-
to sift it out, right? And so that's all I'm saying. That's the distinction. And so from
Nick's job
from,
is the director of Proven Men is
I know, right?
like,
No,
all
dude,
right.
I'm literally Rolodexing like recent stories. Like we've been taking our children down the classics they gotta be great. Like let's go OG 80s and 90s family films.
No, there's some bad ones.
And I'm like watching them. I feel like we were watching the Three Musketeers. There was
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
Oh
still
my
I'm like
gosh.
I'm like what
so
is
bad.
happening
What's the French guy? He's
right
like,
now?
You should remember.
Never mind. I
you
can't
should
even repeat
remember
the-
this,
the
Nick.
line.
Do you remember when I got my minivan? Do you remember when I got my
No.
Sienna and we got it had the DVD player in the back, and
Yeah.
well anyway we were driving somewhere, right? I had like 4 DVDs right in there, and one of the ones that I got was the Three Musketeers, and I was super excited about this, and because I mean I love that movie, but there is.
Yeah.
A very inappropriate scene in that movie.
Yeah.
That is made by Disney and it's PG.
But that's my point. That's literally my point. My point is that back to my Rome comment, which I do think is incredibly pertinent. Like I can't find the argument that makes any sense for why you should be allowing your children to consume today's media or almost any day's media.
Oh,
it's just,
yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
okay. It's
There's certain
golly, man.
I would say the thing that is interesting for me is when I was growing up, the things that were more horrific to know, like, oh my gosh, he was exposed to that type of media, is if like witchcraft or the occult was on TV, or I got
Oh my
to saw
gosh.
some
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
I mean, that was like, oh no, there's witchcraft in that, or be careful, Jumanji. That's
Yeah,
not-
people
not-
get-
like there's
It
some
is
things
amazing
that-
to me. The things that it is interesting to me. I'm sure some of you guys who are parents can attest to this as well. There's like, it is always fascinating to me the things that certain people like tend to major on and minor on when it comes to what they let their kids watch, right?
Right.
So like inside into my household, violence does not really
I'm the
bother
same
me.
way. I'm the same
Right?
way.
My kids can watch violent things. It's part of the nature of the work that we're involved in and the ministry we're involved in. So I don't really shelter them too much from that.
Well, violence has also been a component of human history for like the entire time
Right.
of the world.
Right. So within reason, right? But I'm not talking about like, graphic
Yeah,
people
totally.
being dismembered or anything like that, right? But just like, Lord of the Rings, for instance, right? But, things like any sort of relationship-based, like teenage angst relationship stuff is just like a hard no-go in
Yeah.
my house. Like,
what's interesting is like the kinds of things that we were sheltered from to watch. Like, for instance, couldn't watch Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You
'cause
couldn't
there was
watch
3
Power
boys in the
Rangers or
house.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
We have such.
There was 3 boys in our home, right?
I was the most
including
sheltered
me, right?
child
So there's 3 of
ever,
us,
and I could
and
watch Power Rangers.
look, first
it was
first
just
time,
dubbed. It was
first
dubbed from
time that my
Japanese.
okay, yes, which I didn't realize
Ah,
until
ah,
after, like an adult. I was like,
ah.
oh my gosh, Rita is not speaking English. But first time I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we jumped off. My brother and I jumped off the couch. He landed on me. I sprained my ankle. And my mom was like, nope, not gonna happen. So it's like, okay, it's my fault. At the same time, my parents brought into our home My Girl, which was emotionally traumatizing.
Just
How
so
dare
bad.
you, Mom,
I
Dad?
know.
Okay. Second, first of all, terrified for bees until I was like 13. Okay.
Yeah.
Second,
Anaphylaxis. Can't even
and
say it.
every single one of you Gen X parents out there, okay, and Boomer parents out there, what were you thinking in 1993 taking a 6-year-old or younger to Jurassic Park where these raptors are chasing children? I was having a conversation with my wife the other night, and we're like, that was a traumatizing, reoccurring nightmare.
Are you kidding me?
Like, dude, I couldn't even get out of my room to go to my parents' room to say I'm afraid because the raptors were gonna get me.
Raptors
We're gonna get you. That was the first movie I saw in the theater. That was the very first movie I saw in a movie theater. Was Jurassic Park when it was released. Loved it. Amazing. I'll tell you some movies I could have lived without. Tell you some movies I could have lived without. You already mentioned one, My Girl.
Yes.
Fly Away Home. Homeward Bound.
Oh my gosh. Was that wait, Fly Away Home, was that with the
geese.
kid from Jurassic
Yeah.
Park and Elijah Wood?
Yes.
Bro,
Or the geese.
wrecked
No,
me.
you mentioned
I watched
Elijah Wood.
it again.
Free Willy.
dude.
Could have lived without
my
that.
Gosh.
Why?
I tried to make my kids
watch.
watch Free Willy. The whole opening of Free Willy is just like juvenile delinquency, and I'm like, oh, so this is what my childhood was like.
Well,
you start to
oh,
understand if you go
The
back.
dude
Listen,
was
if you're
eating a
listening
cake
to this,
and a cardboard box at the same time.
and
Come
the
on.
spray painting on the side of the stick. Like, listen, my kids are like, why is he alone? Where are his parents? And I was like, it was a dark
know.
time. Like, listen,
It's
if you're
10 a.m.,
younger,
it's 10 p.m.
listen,
Do you know where
guys,
your children
do you know
are?
where your children are?
They're
If you're
training
listening to
killer
this-
whales. That's what they're doing.
That's exactly. if you are watching this and you're like in your early 20s or maybe younger, and you're like, this makes no sense to me. I'm just gonna frame for you what it was like being, between the ages of 10 and 16 in the 90s. Okay, go watch the first Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, it's so
Okay.
good.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There was a
Open
lot of
scene.
childhood
Phenomenal.
delinquency in that, though.
Oh, what? In
Are
the
you
first
kidding
one?
me? The foot?
Ninja
We're
Turtles.
like
Glenn,
literally just
it's like
criminal.
Pinocchio's Island. Like,
I know.
just
Yeah, that's what I'm
skateboarding,
saying.
eating
Yeah,
pizza,
yeah, yeah,
learning
yeah,
You
yeah.
call
martial
that family
arts,
this
smoking
and that over there
cigarettes.
and that down there?
Yeah.
You call that family?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Casey Jones.
Dude, we have
my
got
gosh,
to do
bro.
movie series on this channel. I feel
We
like
do.
it would be so funny.
If
From,
you
like,
want a movie
Christmas
series-
I think-
perspective. Yeah, leave a comment.
Let us know. We're gonna do it anyway. But
Was that
you know.
Ernie Reyes Jr.? I don't even remember
Dude,
that.
Casey Jones, most underrated.
I know.
Like,
So good.
Freaking awesome.
Dude,
Anyway.
we took a hard turn on Nerd Corner on this episode.
But yeah, no, like so there were some.
We're still on
there was some.
topic.
That was what it was like, right? So that,
Black
and then
Mirror.
a little bit older.
Okay,
you get
so-
The Matrix, The Boondock Saints. Some of these were.
Yeah, but that's later. But like, I'm talking about like the childhood delinquency. Like, I don't think people understand.
yeah.
Like, we talked about this in another episode when we were talking about water stuff, and I was like, the amount of unsupervised time that I was in the water under the age of 16
yes.
Yeah.
is a clue to like I'm
I'm
my
surprised-
kids are young. Like the age that my kids are now, 2 years younger than them. I'm in the woods, very far from adults, with other people. Like I'm talking. It was not uncommon. We'd get home from school, and when I say
Out of
get home from
screaming
school,
range.
I mean the third grade. Okay, I'm 8 or 9 years old. My brother's 6, and we're like, "Bye, mom." Drop the backpacks into the woods.
I remember
Just-
this too. What do you
just-
think about that though? Like, I'm curious, like legitimately curious. Like, they say we are entering into and progressing down like the most coddled generation, right?
It's so true.
But like, I am curious as to like the cost benefit analysis where, we didn't have the media, so you didn't have all the stories of all the dead children because they were all by themselves like we do today of the crazy
Right.
fell in the pool.
We don't have the
But like,
scary
I think
stories.
But it
it's
was
false.
happening.
It's false to assume it wasn't happening.
oh, it was totally happening.
That's what I'm getting at. And so now I'm curious if there is a better line being created around active parenting, appropriately protecting and insulating your children from danger. But then it's like, but we're doing that, but then we're sitting them in front of the TV and then like ruining their brains at
Well,
the
can I-
same
let me-
time.
Let me
So
just
it's
make a
like,
comment on
it's
that real
weird.
quick, Josh. I think that the things that this generation misses out on when it comes to playing in the woods and being away from help is confronting the reality of absolute danger and things could go one way or another. I mean, there's been times I
can you
remember as a
give
kid,
that to your children
somebody
without that?
somebody falls riding their bike and hurts themselves bad,
Oh, yeah.
scrapes
100%.
themselves,
I
they're
have
bleeding.
memories of this.
Now the mission with your group of friends is get that person back home.
Yep.
And so there is a level of responsibility that
Yep.
clicks in a young
And
person
bam!
to say,
You're
this
in a
is
Stephen
serious.
King book.
Now it's exactly. You go into the woods a child and you walk out a man, right? Like
Exactly.
there is that I think that we're missing those types of opportunities. Like nowadays,
what I was
you're
gonna
talking
say,
about unsupervised
Josh.
time in the water. I'm surprised we have Navy SEALs or PJs anymore. Like
Hey, listen, this is real
nobody
though.
knows how to swim.
So here's what I'm saying. First of all, those of us that survived are clearly superior to the ones that did not. And so
Replacement
I
rates
would
were much higher
argue
back then. It was
that our
okay to let your
survival
kids go into the
instincts
woods.
Twisted.
Listen, this is just real. If you just want to know, like, if you take a global survey, and we're a global channel, so I just want to go ahead and throw this out there. But you take a global survey of like who the most, like who's the, what nationality of individual do you want with you in a crisis situation? There's really only two answers here, and one of them is
Where are you
clearly
going?
America, and the other one is Australia.
Yeah, I was
Okay?
gonna say Australia. It's like,
What,
And
like
the
North
reason-
Valley
literally
Dundee or
everything
something?
trying to kill you.
No,
like everything's
it's-
trying
no.
to kill you here in Texas, but everything has already killed your friend in Australia.
Yes,
like that's
and also you're an entire generation. Think about this. We are an entire, like, if you're multi-generational here in America, like you come from the people who said, I'm done with this. I'm gonna take my chances on a barren like I'm gonna just take my family, get on a boat
I'm
with
going to
$20
Arrakis.
bill in my
Like, that's
pocket
literally-
and just send it, and survives 2 world wars, you know,
Oh my gosh.
Korea, Vietnam, and that's why America is special. All right.
Yeah.
Australia is that, but without choices. They were all criminals who were sent there, and the only ones that are alive and are left are the ones who were able to be civil enough for long
Oh
enough
my gosh.
to be welcomed into the civilized world. So my point is that clearly our way of parenting is going to be superior to what brought us up, because we
thought that Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, was an idiot, but today,
He's a
man,
product of his
that guy was
upbringing.
more of a man than we have on
Listen.
display anywhere else.
So
Serious note, though,
are millennial parents the like last redeeming chance that
Well,
we have? Is that
No,
what we're
yeah, because
getting
here's
at?
well, that is
pre-internet.
actually there's a book about this. It's called The Fourth Turning. I don't know if you guys read it. We really need an affiliate account.
dollar in
But
the
that's
jar.
literally what
jar.
it is. It's what is the adage, right? You know, strong men make easy times make weak men make hard times make strong men. And millennials are the hard times make strong men generation, just like the greatest generation was the same way. So we sit 80 years apart. And so the joke, although it is a funny joke, it is actually true that if I said this to my dad the other day, he's like, oh man, won't it be great to get back to States and be able to buy a house again or do all that? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'd like to go 1 decade, you know, as I turn 39 next week. You know, I'd like to go 1 decade without a financial crisis. It'd be kind of cool, you know, at some point to be, you know, the idea that I'm going to be, you know, 40 soon, and, you know, that like my parents and their parents were way further ahead. I mean, we're doing good.
Well, you
but
know,
like,
here per this thread, a very interesting statistic, which we will not see for the next 10 years, but we will see it. The millennial generation will see it. Is we will be a part of the greatest wealth transfer in human history.
yes,
And so-
we'll be the recipients of it.
What is interesting though will be the decisions we make with that transfer. Like it could be a transformational shifting moment if
It
we
will
can-
be.
well, what I mean is we could either wreck our progeny or
Oh, yeah.
we could curate an environment with such realities. So
Statistically speaking,
I know.
that ain't gonna happen.
I mean,
so-
I feel like we are in a bajillion tangents right now, but like
No, it is. It's all part of the same story.
The more, I don't want to go down this. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think my entire kick on generational wealth, I'm like pivoting hard on, and I'm more like, I think my child needs to struggle for the better part of 40 or 50 years of their life, like entirely,
Yeah.
like
Have
a
more fun.
lot. I'm weird. Like the whole die with zero, I've never fallen like I'm like that's an interesting reality.
That's
Not
been my
because I
plan.
want not because
not
I
by
want
choice.
mine, not because I want mine. Like but like legitimately weighing the balance of like okay, die with zero, but what is the gift I give versus not dying with zero and passing something on? It's just
Hey.
very interesting. I'm
No, you're right,
50-50
but that
right
is
now on
the-
this.
That's what I mean, that's what we were talking about when we did. If you haven't seen that episode, you can go back. That's the fence that I ride on, which is listen, you know, every single time that I save or I put away or I make headway financially towards building, a global crisis comes along and kicks my legs out from under you. And so then the question is this: if I can't actually build to a place of solvency or security at the level that, like, you know, my grandparents have, then, you know, then what am I giving up? And the answer is this. Like, I mean, here's a perfect example for me. Like, I've been living in Europe for the last, you know, 2.5 years. I've got another year or so left, maybe a little more. You know, if I put away and crammed away, saved money, and did all of these things, like, what opportunities am I depriving from an experiential standpoint, you know, for kids? And that's where Danelle and I have fault is, one, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. The world is my World War III bingo card is like got 2 spaces left in it.
Right.
So like I'm not banking on seeing 80. I'm just gonna be honest. Like I just don't see it in the cards. And maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, that's great. But like, and I'm not saying we shouldn't consider or think about, you know, financial planning or being frugal. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to set my kids up in the very limited time that I have them with the kinds of foundational and formational experiences that will give them what we got on accident. I won't even say it was on
Yes. That's a
accident.
good
I
way
think
to
I
put
don't
it.
want to I don't want to undermine what my parents did, because my parents were very
Right.
deliberate about this, and they dragged me across the world, you know, at a young age and whatnot. But that was to bring it full circle, Nick, to your point about getting off tangents, is I think that millennials have the opportunity to take what we got and give that to our kids in a safer manner, but it requires a way more deliberate
Yeah.
engagement than it happened naturally growing up, because it was just socially acceptable.
I think there's an interesting thing with millennials is because we can't really bank on Social Security. We, you know, there's all kinds of, you know, stuff going on with retirement funds and stuff like that, where that may not be as cushy as, you know, say the previous generations, where we'd
not.
have some sort of wealth to go on. And then what that does is it forces families to be more communal living, which is essentially what it was like in the Bible, right? The prodigal son, like the sons worked the farm. The father didn't necessarily work the farm. He was retired. And then, you know, in the Bible, the firstborn gets the double portion. Why? Because he gets the double portion of the property, because he's expected to take care of the father. He's expected to move the family business on. And so like my oldest, he's so funny. Anytime that we're distributing out cake or ice cream or something, he's like, I have the double portion, Dad, bring it my way. And I said, fine, you're going to have to contribute to my 401k if you want this extra scoop, you know? So like maybe that becomes the thing in the future, is like,
What do you
look,
mean becomes?
hey,
That's what
retirement's
I'm
not
doing.
going to
I'm
be
raising-
a full ride for
Yeah.
me, son. You're going to have to pay your dues. This is
Yeah.
going to be your hard time from about 30 to 55, because
Yeah, joke's on you
Like,
guys.
that's
My
how much
kids
I
are my
got left,
retirement
right?
plan.
Well,
401k, I got a
per
3
the-
times.
My kids are my retirement plan. I have a curious hypothesis that I've been noodling on. I'm curious what you guys think about this. I think with the rapid advancements happening with AI right now and robotics, and the dumpster fire that is economics and monetary debasement, I'm curious if there's going to be an interesting pendulum swing that happens where we actually, as a culture, pivot, at least I should say the smart ones, pivot to an agrarian homesteading context where we went through the industrial revolution, right? Like now we're coming out the other side, and it's like there might be a very serious argument to be had for like pure and total self-sufficiency, where you do grow your own food and you do curate all of your needs from the little 3 acres or 2 acres or 5 acres that you own, as a way to thrive in a socioeconomic reality that's just everything is on fire. Car prices, home prices, college prices, debt, the hamster wheel that is economics that you can never get off now. And I just see the allure of agrarian homestead style solutions as a way to unplug from this. It's just very curious to me.
Yeah, the great leader is applauding you along with the great general.
Who's
And
me?
your recent discovery and adoption of the North Korean principle of radical
The
self-reliance known as
CCP.
Juche.
Who's funding you, Nick?
talking about?
It's all
That's
about the
literally
party.
what
Well,
you described. What you just
right.
described is
Agrarian
the
society.
underlying principle of Juche.
Communism.
Juche, not with communism, but
not
specifically the North Korean model of self-reliance. That's what
Because
they
that's
said.
the only
So now
way
they
can
would have
keep their people alive.
No. I'm not criticizing what you're saying. I think what you're saying is correct. What I'm saying is it's interesting that you've aligned that, because that is what you're looking at as seeing the negative aspects of the Industrial Revolution, and like what's the pendulum swing
the
back.
second half of the Industrial Revolution.
Right. But they would replace that language with capitalist greed, and they would pivot that back to saying, hey, what would be better is if we had a collective, society where everyone like withdrew, where we didn't have all the same things as those things happen, but what we gain is, radical community. We have no need for external support. And obviously it's a joke, and that's not really what exists there, but that is the thing that they're pitching, right? Like that's the sell, is like we're isolating because we don't want to be a part of that system, and we're going to have radical self-reliance where everybody has a part in our little community, but it's just scaled up. Now, obviously it doesn't work at scale. That's the problem with communism.
Well, and I think that per this thread, the North Korean communist approach versus the fall of the Roman Empire monastic approach are two similar but not same things, right? Like one saved the culture and saved Christianity and saved faith as we know it, and then the other one is impoverishing and killing its people. So it's like a bit
yeah, but they're
different.
both. I mean, I wasn't making the point about
I
that.
know.
I was just making it funny because it is hilarious. But that is the point, right? Like that's the pendulum swings: asceticism versus radical consumption. I mean, that's remembering, like, when you think about the difference between the decade that we were born in versus the early 2000s when we were in college, and I'm sitting here gonna go get, like, Nick's gonna give me a ride down the hill to Barnes and Noble, and I get in his car and there's like no paneling in it. He's got like a milk crate where the passenger seat used to be.
And he put it in neutral to go down
and
the
he's
hill
like,
to save
no,
gas.
and he's like, dude, I've been getting really into hyper mileage. Hyper mileage. You remember that?
Yes,
I
but
do.
I had seats in the car. But yes,
You
I
did
remember.
not have a front seat.
That's not true.
That is a
That's not
lie.
true. That's
That
not
red
true.
Corolla did not have a front seat.
red
It was red,
Corolla-
wasn't
we
it?
That
had
red
to stand on the
Corolla
top like
had
a
surf
red
ninjas
Corolla.
back in the 90s.
It didn't have an airbag. It didn't have back seats, maybe. And
Okay,
and
that's
maybe,
what it was. No back seats. No back seats. No, that's what it was. We were talking because I'm sitting and you said something to the effect of, you should just be glad that you have a front seat to sit in, because I thought about replacing it with a milk crate. That is what you said. And
Oh
but
my
literally
gosh.
but that was real. Like, I mean, just like, but anyway, but it's also just like we hear stories, like when we think back when we were growing up, our grandparents coming from a generation that grew up in the Great Depression, where we heard you will eat every single thing on your plate.
Right.
Whereas like our parents were we're not getting a box for leftovers. What?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
what are we, peasants?
Dude, I
Like,
heard a joke about, our grandparents went to school 3 miles barefoot in snow both ways. And
Uphill
then
both ways.
there was a comedian that said, I wonder how they did that. That was back in the day when they still put cocaine in Coke. So
it's part of the story
Of course
that
they
hasn't
were
been
able to do
told
that.
yet. All right. So speaking of dystopian crazy stories, and like as we're even playing this out, right? Like even just comparing what you're talking about, like exploring hypothetical futures and looking at current models. You were talking about how you've come to Black Mirror late in the game.
Not late in the game. Context.
it's been like,
It's been out
you
for a
just
long
start watching
time.
it?
I have
Yes.
never heard a single redeeming story about this show. All I've heard are anecdotes of like twisted pornographic scenes or murder scenes or weird twisted ways people are getting exploited. And then the other day, it's more of like a curiosity of like, let's put this on. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Thank you. I'll go watch my how to build a house YouTube videos. Thank you very much. And it's just interesting about the selection of media again. And I, for one, am not this like high horse, I only watch G-rated religious films. I don't know.
I did see James Bond
my
with
brother,
Nick, I'll tell
my
you.
brother was like, I love Black Mirror. It's amazing. And I'm like, you're the first person I've ever heard say this, and I have no desire to watch the show. So why don't you make a case for why I should waste my brain cells on this television show as a Christian in the 21st century?
Okay. I would say that obviously it's not produced by Christians. So with that,
And it's not made for children.
And it's definitely not made for children.
So there you go.
Or
which is why I don't need to watch it.
right. But what I'm saying is, but here is what's interesting about it is a lot of the reason it ends up being depraved. And I think it is interesting as a commentary on society, which is kind of what it is. That's the whole idea of a black mirror. Like, but now we see through a mirror darkly, like that whole mentality of what we see.
Bro even brought
forward.
scripture to it, Nick.
You wanted a case.
I'm like, go read Neil Postman. You'll have just as grand of a time. You don't. Need to
no, I mean, you're not wrong. But like, listen, we got to set the bar where like 80%. Let's be real, 90% of society is.
Do we?
I'm saying, if you're asking me if there is anything redeemable about it, I would say that. And again, this is to go back to the scary movie thing. Like, what is it about scary movies that exists? It's like, I wish people made more edifying and better content, but I'm happy to see that people in the secular world, at least some people, when I see art like Black Mirror that is exploring taking something as simple as like, what would a social credit score tied to social media posts, if actually implemented, how horribly could that possibly go? And draw that thread 20, 30, 40, 50 years into the future.
And this concept
and see what that's like.
Isn't
It
foreign
shines a light
to,
on morality.
like books like Frankenstein or Dracula.
Animal
you could
Farm.
argue those are Christian novels that point out this is the end. This is the depravity of what it becomes. You want to become God and create this creature that is never going to be something that's going to make you God. In fact, that was the line that they muted with a bolt of lightning in the 1930 something movie was him saying, Dr. Frankenstein saying, I am God, like that is and then Dracula is like, you got these vampires that are inhuman. They are not human, and they're sucking the lifeblood out of all things that make humanity
commentary on
human. So it's like,
hedonism.
there are commentaries on things where you look at that and be like, oh, this is horrible, but you know what? I could make the same argument for the Book of Judges, Nick. I can go through and I can say they did what was right in their own eyes. But wait, hold on. There's some really horrible stuff in Judges, chopping up prostitutes and sending them to each tribe of Israel. Well, hold on. Maybe I don't need to be exposing myself or my children to that. Well, hold on. What is the message to that? Or what about, sacrificing the first person that walks through the door? I made a mistake. It was my daughter, right? So I think you could make an argument.
Clear, we're comparing the Bible to Black Mirror, right? That's
no,
your
but what we're
argument
saying
here.
is no.
I'm
The
making a
argument is
point.
this,
I'm making a point that
the
you
argument
can
is this.
find
There's adult content.
The point, the
there's
moral
mature
content.
There is content that, like, let me put it this way: we live in a sheltered society. Even in our depravity, like, we're still not quite what was going. I mean, we're not like gathering on the mountains, going to temple prostitutes, and like literally throwing babies into the arms of bears. Now, not saying that stuff's not happening in a different kind of context, but what I'm getting at is like, we live in a very sterilized.
That's the narrative of the church and how we are called to be in the world and not of the world and to look different.
Yeah, I totally agree. But
Not
what I'm
to
saying is
engage
that
in it.
no,
Well, hold
No,
on.
hold on. What I'm saying
To
is this.
acknowledge
No.
the. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
It exists is the point. And sometimes
Sure.
to make a point, to understand something is to see it and to become confronted with ugliness. And so as the artist, if you are holding a mirror to society and society is ugly, then what you will create and what you will project will be ugliness. But is that the end?
Well, that's
Or is
not
that-
my theory is not there's that is a true statement. I'm more coming it from the lens of how many times do I need to look in this mirror? I understand that it's depraved and I'm done looking.
You do. Yes. I'm not telling you you should watch it
know.
necessarily. I'm
I'm
just
just saying
saying
in
if you're
general.
asking what's edifying about it, I would say I've literally had soldiers come in my office. Dude, I just watched this Black Mirror episode and it's got me
Okay.
thinking a little bit
So the
about
redeeming thread at a cultural level is that we're still producing content that is showing a mirror to the secular world that it is lost.
Yeah. But it's showing it in a non-flattering light. It's
I'm with
taking
you.
a part of itself
Totally.
that's celebrated and it's turning it on its head and it's showing it for what it is. And I feel like-
I can get on that conversational level where it's like not trying to parse it this way, but it's like, yeah, people need to not forget that. But then, and you're not saying this, but
Right.
but I don't need to show that to my children or watch
for
it
sure.
myself or like
Yeah.
it's for the lost.
Yeah.
Like in a
In our
weird sort
context?
of way. It's for
Well,
the
and-
lost.
It is. And in our context, I would say in this context of like what we do here on this channel and as a reflection, because part of the reason we do this channel, and if you're listening to this or watching this now, is because not everybody has access to somebody like us or a group of friends like us that are Christian men who've been walking with God for a long time, or your pastor, where you're going to get that feedback, right? So say you go and you say, oh, I just saw this show, Black Mirror, and mind-blowing. I don't know what to deal with that. Now, one way I could handle that if you walked in my office is, well, tell me about it, right? And you're going to describe it to me and have that context, right? Another way for me to handle that is, and again, depending on your level of maturity, and again, is it healthy to consume this kind of stuff on a regular basis for anybody? I would say no, absolutely not. But if there's a cultural phenomenon, if there's something that is resonating because it's on the pulse of something, I think people at a specific level in their like capacity and maturity have the ability to see that, not all of it within reason, right? Fast forwarding is to see that and say, man, like I can bring that into a conversation. Because I've had conversations where I can't look at someone and be like, dude, you know what Paul says in the book of Timothy? But I can be like, did you see that Black Mirror episode where like the guy just did what he wanted and then like his life was destroyed? And that's going to resonate because they've consumed it. There's a value to moral tales that come from a secular place. And there is some value for Christians to have some understanding and exposure to it.
Right.
But
Oh,
I
yeah,
will not
agree. Sure.
suggest that is for, but I'm agreeing with you because you are pointing something out, which is that there's an unhealthy obsession with that. Just like young believers and Christians will get zealous and they'll go down a rabbit hole of like, dude, I'm going to fight demons. And they're like, I'm going to go learn everything I can
Right.
about ritual magic. And I'm like,
Well-
bro, you don't need to be exposing yourself to that. Like, you're not
No,
prepared
yeah.
for that. You're not equipped for
There-
that, you know?
Nate, thanks
think
for
that
that
there-
comment, man. We
Yeah,
appreciate that
thanks.
affirmation.
Great
and,
Nate.
And to
Thanks for
be
listening
frank,
in.
I mean, like that's I really enjoy this thread we've just found because it does circle all the way back around to K-pop Demon Hunter,
Full circle.
That's right.
which is where we began, which is I think complete and utter trash, but I guess there's some redeeming threadish mirror component for the secular and the lost, or maybe not. I don't even know if that's we're not even there with that, but
No, it's like what you said.
I
There's,
don't know.
is it redeeming for, is there value in us seeing it and being able to speak into it
Well,
versus
sure,
do I think
that.
it's
Right.
valuable for society? I don't think it's valuable for society. I
Oh,
think
that's
it's
interesting.
garbage.
Right.
So if you had
But-
like K-pop, Demon Hunter, and Black Mirror, You would say
Oh.
K-pop Demon Hunter offers no edifying value for society, whereas Black Mirror is that
Yeah,
whole. This is dark,
because the
this
difference is
twisted, you
one's
need to see
true.
that.
One's
Yeah,
truth in
okay.
advertising, the other one's not. You see what I'm saying? Black Mirror holds up the mirror and says, "You're trash." Are we trash, Brian? Are we trash? Yes, you're trash. Like, versus K-pop Demon Hunters looks at you and says, "You're not trash. Your trash is beautiful. It's who you are. It's harmony. It's wonderful. Don't change. Don't ever change. Just
why
stay the way you are."
You need to not watch
There-
it. Yeah,
That's
there
what
are
I mean.
things.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's
there
good.
are things where it's like I spent a whole lot of time researching Jesus Christ Superstar, which I don't think we have time for that segment right now. But
Oh, we're
I spent
already
a whole lot of
fire
time
here. Let's just go for it.
like I spent a lot of time looking it up because there is this travesty
time.
of, first of all, the play itself is awful. It's
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah, first of
acknowledge
all-
the divinity of Christ.
Hold
but
on.
then you have like
Oh,
scenes
this
like
trash.
this.
Bro,
That's all I
I'm
can do.
scared
Burn
for
it with
these
fire.
people. Can
But
I just
here's
tell
the
you
thing.
right now? Like,
but that's the other half of the world.
That's Los Angeles,
Bro.
and I think I see a earthquake or a hurricane
listen
Don't
to me.
do
just
that.
about.
Bro,
Can you
don't
imagine?
do that. Don't do
Listen.
that.
Can you imagine?
Oh my god.
Like, I'm going through some stuff right now where it's like, there's just a simple question I generally try to ask myself. And it's ironic that it's literally, it's the catchphrase of 90s Christianity, but it's not what would Jesus do? It's literally, if Jesus
Let's
walked
bring
in
that
right
back.
now,
We should bring that back.
it's
We should
there.
bring
People
that
are people are doing it. By the way, the new bracelets that you get on
Great
Amazon
marketing,
are garbage. They're not
WWJD,
like
baby.
they're not woven. They're like printed. Not cool. Not
Well,
Only-
how do we go
only
from
a 90s.
But hold on.
WWJD to Jesus is my
Let me-
homeboy?
well, let
I
me
don't
explain.
know. There was.
Yes, you're
Sorry,
right.
go ahead,
That's
Josh.
true.
Go ahead.
But my point is, I was gonna try to make a salient.
You were. I crushed it. It's my fault.
What are we
Go
talking
ahead.
about,
Listen,
Josh?
it's my
Just
fault.
lay it on us, man. Let us
Listen.
go.
What I'm saying is you gotta ask yourself a question like, if Jesus walked in right now, like I joke, and if you're Catholic and you're listening to this, I love you, but I had a fellow chaplain friend, we pastor to pastor poking fun with each other. I'd helped him get set up, get ready to do a Catholic mass, and he'd gotten in all of his garb, and he had like his hat and his like all of his vestments, and we're standing there, and the soldiers start walking in, and right as the soldiers start walking in, I just kind of keep looking forward, and I'm like, so just between us, Jesus walks in right now. You a little embarrassed?
I could not believe you. Oh my gosh. The ball's on you.
And
oh my
he
gosh.
like had to fight so hard not to laugh. But here's my thing, like that's where I'm at, right? Like I'm at the level of
Oh
like
my gosh.
I feel more comfortable justifying preaching in chacos, and backpacking pants if Jesus walked in than doing something different like that. But then you put yourself in these people's shoes, right? Like that just put on this play, like those individuals. Like imagine being that young woman or old woman, I don't even know how old she is, but
She a
whatever,
woman?
that woman standing in front of Jesus one day. Like in front of the throne of God.
Is that even on the
And
table?
you know that you did that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the reality is she's no different than me in the eyes of God. with
Yeah,
regard
yeah,
to
yeah,
sin,
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I
But
was
like,
gonna
but
go
there's
back to
still
that
that,
church.
but there's that, like, to me, like, I see that and I'm just like, dude, like, I would be afraid for my life. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't drive motor vehicles. I wouldn't take flights for a
Well,
couple months. Like,
he says to
I would
her,
just
Depart from me. I never knew you. And she says this.
Why have you forgotten me?
Okay.
Oh,
What did I didn't even hear it.
It's
What was
done.
it?
She said,
Why
"Why
have
have
you
you
forgotten
forgotten me?
Oh, because they're reenacting.
I never knew you. I don't know.
Depart
That's
from me.
interesting.
I never knew you.
It's dark out there, man. I'm back.
I don't
to
know who
If
this
you want to
is.
start up a monastery, let me know. I got some
You don't
land.
want a
to throw
monastery.
together.
We don't need to bring back asceticism.
Oh my
Even
goodness.
Martin
I
Luther
disagree
pulled
with
up from that.
I disagree with that.
You think you think asceticism? Oh, bro, we're gonna have to do a whole episode on that.
I think in this time that we are in today, I'm not saying bring it back in full force, but we could use a heavy heap of
He said, wearing his AirPods and Apple Watch.
monastic. I'm like legitimately serious. This is we're all
okay.
on the
Let me.
tangents,
Okay, maybe we're
so-
using words. Hold on. I want to be fair. Because when you say monastic and I use the word asceticism, like what I'm thinking of is a rejection, full rejection of the material world.
Oh yeah, I'm not
cloistering,
saying that.
like,
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
isolating
I'm not saying
myself, vows of poverty, vows of silence. Like that's what
No.
that.
That's
when
what
we
it-
talk
yeah,
about
that's
the
what we're talking
monastic.
about.
Sprinkles of not like.
so what does that look like?
For sure. Some
thing-
humility, right?
I mean, I
Some simple living.
communicated a little bit. I think of what I think it's looking like, and it's a more insulated view of your local community, your local body, your local church, your local family. We don't have time for it, but like the rejection of your parents get old, ship them off into a home so they can die in peace, and like
So localizing, smaller scale.
yeah, like
Right,
bringing it all
yeah.
back down. And I was talking with my brother
almost
about
like-
this. Almost like
Go ahead.
well, it's
almost like
almost
what
almost
God
like it would be
called-
great.
Israel and
Sorry.
the church to do
Yes.
in the beginning. Like
But that's
I'm
my
trying to remember
point.
what
That's
was the
the
real
thread.
tipping
Well,
point for
that's the
society after Noah.
thread.
Like what was that? Or not before Noah. What was it? There was a thing that happened, and he advised against it. What was it? Gathering in cities? Something like that was bad. And then
towers.
even
I
the
think
new
there's-
covenant,
but-
everyone was like, hey, this is great. Let's just all gather together and we can have everything in common and we're just going to give everything and it's going to be wonderful.
Well-
and God was like, they're not getting it. They're not. I can just imagine
Yeah.
it's like God and
We're
Jesus
gonna
and the Holy
persecute
Spirit
the
are
church
just
and send 'em
collectively
out.
in the Trinity.
Yes.
And they're like, all right, you just got up here. Jesus, welcome. Well, what are they doing? Well, they've all gathered together. They're not moving. I just
They're not going
left
into the
them.
world.
I told them that they're going into there. And
That
it's
was
like, you know what?
the
I've had
last
enough.
thing I said.
Holy Spirit, it's on you. Pentecost, out.
So
Yeah.
Immediate.
So the argument then is the idea is good, but as a collective whole, it is damaging. So like you have your own little communities that are little
mean-
lighthouses to the world
Yeah,
around
do that.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm all
that's-
for
I think
it.
that's what-
That
well, here's
wasn't
the
a
thing.
criticism
That
of what
was-
you said.
I know.
No, right. What would you say then? What would you say about a feast of booths? Essentially, you camp for a week to remember what it
know
was
what that
like to feast of booth in the Jewish feast
Just
where they
throwing
were
that out there as if all of us know what that is.
It's the
Nerd.
ceremony where they would literally just they would set up like a tent, and then they would for a week, and this is even today for the Feast of Booths. It's a tent, and they basically camp out for a week, and they remember what it was like to wander in the wilderness. It's like, hey, I'm never
I
going
like
to
that.
forget what it was like. And so there is this sense where it is nice to Shabbat or to unplug or to just give up control, right?
So
for
what
a
I hear you
time.
guys saying is, hold on.
Yes,
What I hear you saying is, we should take one day a week. And we should
No.
rest and reflect.
Yes,
Hold on.
yes.
Hold on. Let me continue.
that
That we should
Adonai.
gather together in communities, that we should not forsake the meeting of believers, that we should be known and know each other,
Full circle.
confess our sins one to another, that we should live in close community, that we should take care of widows and orphans because that is true religion. Like, I
And do it
completely
on a
agree
on
with
a
everything
small
you were
enough
saying.
scale where accountability can happen and church discipline isn't weird. I think what we're talking about, Josh, is church. Is that
The
is that
death
the key word?
of, and what is different about what we're doing now and what you're saying, Nick? I think what I hear you saying is,
I just wanna
everybody
know-
needs a house church.
That's right. I just want to know how long
Nick's
it's going to
checked
be
out already. Come on, man.
before
No.
a-
I'm with
a-
you. I'm here.
I want to know how long it's going to be before somebody online posts a picture of some progressive church playing a K-pop Demon Hunters song Further
All right.
worship service being like, dude, it's about
I'm
demon
putting a
hunting.
bounty out.
Okay.
I want that
This-
video.
The stage
I
is
want
mine.
that video.
I want it back. Give me the pulpit.
All right, you got it.
Romans
Go.
12, Romans 12. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. All I'm saying with my comments about agrarian, monastic level, homestead level pivots are, I don't think we do a good job in the Western evangelical context of communicating what it actually looks like to be in the world, but not of the world. And
'Cause they're
I
not
think there are
Christians.
too many Christians running around that don't process that at a deep enough level. And when I say let's start a monastery, it's more of like let's start a community that properly understands in our DNA that we are in the world, but we look different. I mean, I like this challenge. I am even thinking it right now, and I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm doing good in this department. Like, do people look at my family and say, why do you guys look so different? Like, do people
not in
look at my
Lynchburg,
family?
We're not
there's a
all
lot of
called to be
people
John
like
the
you there.
Baptist, Nick.
No, you're right. He's not John the Baptist. That's how
Eat
he's saying.
locusts.
Oh,
I know.
See,
I'm
this is
totally
what
teasing you.
threw us off, Nick. What threw us off is you have to like that's what from like a seminary perspective. It's like when
Right,
you say
those-
monastic, we think
And asceticism.
full blown asceticism. What
Right.
you're talking about is like
Is
you
normal.
want people to
Yeah.
be Christians and do
Yes.
what Christians do. And what
Which-
I'm saying is the reason it's not happening is because you want Christians to do something that is the fruit of transformation in that verse that you pointed out. Therefore, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The renewing of your mind takes place from walking with God. The issue
Right.
is Christians are not mature enough to pivot their own lives. And here's the real question. Why is that?
But they
Because
can
we
be.
don't
They could be. They could.
Yes.
That is attainable.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
But how are they going to get there?
By subscribing and liking and sharing the I'm
That's
Telling God
right,
About
folks.
This podcast.
That's right.
There is
And
no
this
better
is
landing.
another episode.
There is no better landing.
God
was
about
great.
this podcast. If you have had as much fun with this as we have,
my God.
we
All
do
two
this
of you
every week.
that were watching.
Tell
I'm
your
not entirely
friends,
sure it
share
wasn't
this
us.
video, and we will come out with some segments from this this live. And yeah, anything else to say, boys, before we close
good.
it out?
I really
Don't
do
watch
appreciate
K-pop
Nate-
Demon
I
Hunters.
really do appreciate Nate's comment and anybody else of similar like-mindedness come along for the ride, man. We're building something that matters.
I agree.
Indeed. All right, we'll catch you guys
Cue
later.
music.
See you later. Bye.
Get off my
is your-
lawn.
I need to. You know what? I need to. I really need to.
We're still live, just so you know.
What do you want to talk
Oh.
about?
We are still live.
I don't